Let's talk a little bit finally about the research side, and what's being done. You said that acupuncture is quite well understood by, the folks out there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What's being done research-wise in natural medicine?
Goodness.
So much. We have
You go ahead.
We have a whole research department, which may be a leader in researching natural medicine. Health Got Research Institute on your doctor's wiki. We have so many research projects going on by students. There's about, last I heard, there's hundreds, at one time maybe 500, many of which by students, both in naturopathy and in the Chinese medicine side, on herbs and meditation, cultural competency in medicine, so many different aspects, and the research really helps because, like you say, there's an overwhelming amount of possibilities. It's like when you go into a garden or into a forest. There are so many plants. Which one should I go up to? It's pretty easy in conventional medicine. There's fewer choices, but even there, we need more research to help guide practitioners and patients are especially interested in these kinds of things. So the research has its own quirks to it, we call institutional bias, but it can be helpful to find some truly independent research. And there's a lot of it on taking vitamin D, for instance, around here. Fish oils, yeah.
What if I can't eat fish?
There are some made from algae.
So there's options.
There are some options.
Because
flax.
I'd work through that with my doctor then.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I finally wonder if both of you could kind of just speak from the heart about what you do on a daily basis.
I love my job. My new patients, I always tell them, we are now entering into a team effort here, and I tell all my new patients, call me. Call me if you have questions. Let's talk about it. I want you to understand why you're taking what you're taking, why you're doing what you're doing. And they all look at me. I'm like, no, really, I love my job. Oops, sorry. I love my job. Call me. I am so happy. I was going to go to conventional medical school and happened to buy a book at Costco one day that literally fell off the top of a box and landed open in naturopathic medicine. And I went whoosh. Changed my career. I had all those applications out on my desk, Roger, and I ended up just in 3 days I had filled out my application for NCNM. It's just, this medicine comes from the heart. It's hard to sit down with people and figure out the root causes and figure out on every, what is going on in someone's life from every perspective and what might be creating issues for them. But it's also so gratifying. Absolutely couldn't imagine doing anything else.
And it seems like that we're as patients being encouraged to sort of involve ourselves in that relationship.
Absolutely.
And so this seems that kind of relationship driven.
You have to involve yourself. I tell every single one of my patients, I said, your doctor works for you. Don't forget that.
And patients are leading the healthcare revolution in North America. It's coming from you and the choices you're making at the health food store, in getting a massage, in trying a class. We've never seen anything like it before. The practitioners are catching up, and then the researchers are catching up after that. And there's always a shift in worldview that happens. And you can point to the moment, like Amy had. Mine was in 1983. I knew what I didn't want to do. I didn't want to go to law school. I didn't have the skills, number skills for engineering and things. I knew what I didn't want to do, but I took a bodywork class. And that's when within 2 weeks, I knew, okay, this is what I came here to do. What's bodywork? Massage. And the acupuncture is just an extension of that. And the class was about why is it that the same point is tender every week on someone, and you're not just moving a vertebra back in and watching it pop out. You're thinking, why? Is it diet? Do they need a supplement? Is it an herb? Is there an emotion? What? And the biggest both gift and challenge, what I'm troubled by, is that I have patients come in who are both very young and very old. And with the elder patients, I see that they're really struggling. They have a hard time walking. And they're just not being given what they need. And we do something very simple. We basically touch some points or put some needles in. And they have a couple of days where they feel great, and they can walk, and they can sleep. and do these basic things that nothing else was really getting to. And the same with children. I've seen children have huge turnarounds on major medications, total inability to sleep, upsets the whole family, and we do some simple acupressure, just touch, and everything shifts just with the thumbs. Kids do not need much. And when we're seniors too, in our 80s, 90s, this medicine works great, fabulous. I've treated patients who are 96 who respond so well to this kind of thing, to natural medicine and to these more subtle approaches. So start learning, trying different things, learn what you can, and look for that big shift in your worldview. Yeah.
And no sugar.
No sugar, I'm sorry. That's the worst part of my job, is telling people don't eat the sugar.
You know, it's the sugar, but it's the refined sugar. We look at sugarcane workers, they have great teeth. But sugar, we can look at areas as soon as it's introduced, people get gum disease and it spreads into their lymph system and they have all this malformation within a generation. It's amazing. The work of that Dennis Weston Price in the 30s from my hometown in Cleveland, and people are still referring to that. The pictures are so graphic. What these simple things do to us. And now we have the options that our parents didn't have. Well, we can avoid them. We've got things that taste good. You can get raw organic sugar. I don't know how really that is compared to something like stevia, but it's not the thing. It's how much we process it, how much we refine it, and how close it is to nature.
It actually ages you to eat sugar. I'm actually 86 years old. Don't I look great? Just kidding. No, it does. Insulin, when you surge insulin, it does age you. It's not so great.
Well, what I've really heard in the last half hour or so that we've been talking is that it's a relationship that we have with ourselves, and kind of an exploration and learning about what works for us. And hopefully this will be a okay cold and flu season.
There are options.
There are options.
And it's a community event. None of us can do this alone. So if you come to our college, we have classes for the public in things like Qigong and in cooking. And they're fun. They're great fun. I just took my first Qigong class at NCNM, and it was a blast. And there was just very few people there. It's like, wow, we've got room. And they had candles and a nice wood floor and a view of the city, and it cost hardly anything. And then we have treatments. We have shiatsu, just acupressure. You're fully clothed by a student who's been in medical school for years. And we have acupuncture and classical Chinese herbs, and then naturopathy. And we have
hydrotherapy.
Hydrotherapy. Oh, let's talk more about that.
Oh, that sounded really good. I'm glad that you remembered. I'm glad that you remembered, because that sounds really wonderful.
Bring out the hot tubs. Here we go.
3 hydrotherapy treatments we all need to know to stimulate our immune systems and help with colds and flu. Number 1 is the nasal rinse. Y'all heard of the neti pot? Personally, not a fan of that.
Yeah, it doesn't sound
that
good.
shape of that whatever, but it is helpful for people to tend towards sinus infections this time of year. So my favorite is actually the NeilMed rinse system that you can buy at any drugstore, because it comes with these packets of saline bicarbonate. It's really comfortable for people. So if you are tending towards sinus infections, you can do this on a more ongoing basis, and I would have a pinch of probiotics put in there, the healthy bugs. If you do get sick, warming socks, some people call them magic socks. There's actually a handout on how to do them up there, but very quickly, you take a nice warm shower or bath, get your feet nice and warm, and then on top of your warm, toasty feet, you're gonna slide cold, wet socks. Wring them out so that they're very, very dry. Put them on, put some nice wool, warm socks over the top, wear that to bed. All night long, it's gonna be creating this big flow of circulation all through your body, and it can really help with congestion and headache, intensify your sleep when you're sick. Lots of people do very well with that. And then another version of that is what we call a constitutional hydrotherapy treatment, where you actually get nice and warm in the shower bath, and then you put a cold, wet t-shirt on and wrap up in a warm wool blanket. I usually line it with a sheet to make it more comfortable, and then go to sleep. And that, again, is great for chest congestion. Very, very good for the lungs, but also the whole immune system. And you can probably do that preventatively, that constitutional hydrotherapy once a week, maybe through cold and flu. And gosh, doesn't it sound like it would feel good? Just get nice and hot, though. You know, you have to be so hot. You're like, oh, that
You're
cold
just gonna
T-shirt
have
feels
drag us
so
kicking and
good.
screaming.
I have seen that cure pneumonia.
Yeah.
Just that. It's very powerful. These treatments have roots back into Europe for hundreds of years, and probably in Asia too.
There is Chinese versions of hydrotherapy that don't involve wool socks. We've got a lot of those here. So we have some local tools.
Chopsticks.
Health tip from Qigong teacher I studied with is if you're out exposed to cold and damp weather, which in Chinese is just, your Chinese grandmother doesn't like that, okay? It's one of the worst things you can do. If you get your jeans soaked and you go home, take your hands, rub them together, get them good and warm, and then massage, do a friction rub wherever it was soaked after you've dried off, okay? And that feels good, and it's very good for keeping that cold and damp from over time repeatedly penetrating into the body and creating things like not just cold and flus, but potential pain over the years and decades. The neti pot is from Vedic medicine, and there's tremendous research on it from the ear, nose, and throat doctors. Recommend that highly. The Chinese don't really go for it. They prefer herbs like magnolia flower. So you get a magnolia flower just when it's budding and make a tea out of it, and that helps to gently open the sinus. There's also self-massage. Massaging alongside the nose, like so, or like so, combined with this acupoint, which many people know for headaches. It's especially good for frontal headaches, okay? And then massaging here, underneath your skull. All back here is really tremendous for clearing your head. It's good for stress, anxiety, head colds, and headaches. And then finally, an ear massage. Massaging your ears, the earlobes, the cartilage, light or heavy. Making a habit of that can be very good. The ear is our most used, most researched, what we call a microsystem for treating the whole body. And you can't go wrong with that. So it's finding what you enjoy. Do you like doing hydrotherapy as a patient? Do you like doing a sinus rinse? Some patients really feel great when they clear out their sinuses. They feel less heavy and congested. I know a lot of construction workers that get around sawdust, gypsum, and they do the sinus rinse, and it's like clearing an air filter. It's very direct. And then some people love taking herbs. So it's seeing what you can engage as a patient and doing, coming at it from different angles, more than one angle, and then you've got a good treatment.
Well, we're on a great start to learning a lot of things. Thank you both so much.
Thank you very
Dr.
much.
Amy Bader
Yeah.
and
Thank
Dr.
you.
Roger Bachelor.
Thank you.
Thank you.